We are live.
Beautiful. A very good morning and good afternoon and good evening to everybody, depending on where they are in the world today. If you're joining us for our second podcast of the day, welcome to the Wealthy Mindset episode 3. I can't believe how quickly these are going out. It's so incredible, like
I
everything
know.
that we're creating here, Laura. It blows my mind. It really does.
Exciting.
It is indeed. It is indeed. Now, Laura and myself just did our Wealth of Self podcast, and it was all about investing into self and using information that is available freely now to grow one's mind, grow one's perception as to what is possible and doable. And hint, everything is possible and everything is doable. So it's just about figuring out if you really want it and how badly, and the rest will fall into place. But on this episode, I wanted to actually take a moment to actually demonstrate that. And I'm going to use two of my old clients as examples on how to set up a business using no money down. Well, almost no money down. Something that a lot of people have said to me is, they want a side hustle, they want some form of extra business to just supplement their income, or maybe there's a passion project that they've always wanted to try. They're not sure if it's going to be, the next, I don't know, Claire's or makeup line or whatever the case may be, but they definitely just want to try it and see how it goes. And the issue almost always is, but I don't have the money I need to buy stock. Then you have to think about warehousing said stock or keep it in your garage. And then your spouse is getting upset because it's taking up all this space. And it's figuring out how to use online e-commerce stores and all that kind of stuff. There's such a lot that goes into it that it can be overwhelming. But I broke it down for two of my clients once, who you said to me, "Oh, Stefan, we have this idea." They each had a separate idea for a business using physical items. So not digital stock, but actual physical items. And their concern was, they don't exactly have a huge amount of disposable income each month. So they were planning on saving up over the course of a year in order to set this up so they could buy the stock, etc. And I said, but why not just start now? And they kind of looked at me and just deadpan, like, well, did we not just explain to you that we need to save the money in order to buy the stock in order to have the business? Like, what is not computing for you? And that's when it hit me that there's so much information out there available that people just have not seen. And one of those things is what is called arbitrage trading. Now, arbitrage trading essentially means that you are the middleman. That's all it means. Okay. You are selling someone else's product and you are making a profit off of that. Now, the old-fashioned way would be to do exactly what my client said they wanted to do, which was buy a bunch of stock, store it, sell it online, and go down to the post office and ship their stock off. Then I said to them, well, what about doing something else, such as drop shipping? And they kind of looked at me and said, but would there be, well, first they didn't know what a drop shipper was, which I'll explain in a second what it is. Their first question was, what is it? And secondly, will they actually be able to do what we're wanting to do? And I said, right, well, let's extend our session by 10, 15 minutes, and let's do a bit of research right here together. We're both at our desks. Let's Google some things. The one person wanted to sell, was it soaps or... I think it was soaps. She had a specific range of soaps that she wanted to be selling. And we just Googled drop shipping soaps United States. Came up with a whole list of companies that offer this. Now, for those of you who don't know, dropshipping is this wonderful invention where you do not have to hold the stock. You do not need to handle the shipping. All you have to literally do is put up a store front online, list your products. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. List your products, and another company would actually fulfill that on your behalf. And we ran it all top to bottom. What she thought was going to cost her a minimum of $500 to $800 a month to get started over the course of the next year. We got the fees down to $25 a month.
Wow.
Excluding her advertising that she was going to have to do. Now, I bring that up because literally in 10-15 minutes, we went from these huge perceived roadblocks to,
Right.
are you telling me I can actually start tomorrow?
Right.
Sorry, I'm going to mute myself for 2 seconds.
Go ahead. Yeah, so I'm just going to hop in here for a quick moment because that is, again, here we are in real time with a client and now sharing this information with the community that you can look up information, you can find results, and you can begin. And even let's say she didn't have money for advertising right at that moment, you can just go out to your Facebook group, your
Exactly.
Instagram, you can create a YouTube channel there that doesn't cost any money, and you can just start the momentum of getting people excited and interested in what you're doing. And then you'll be surprised if you are creative and you package it and word it a certain way, people will be like, oh my God, the holidays are coming up, or there's weddings to go to, or I mean, I've already thought of 3 different ways to extend a private, beautiful little soap business that's exclusive with, I don't know, I don't want to say too much because I have an idea for us. So,
Love it.
but there, there really is a way. If there is a will, there is a way. And that was a perfect example of that.
Absolutely. And the one thing that I always say to, well, anyone and everyone is, and I learned this from, I won't say a mentor, but there is a gentleman by the name of Dan Pena. Now, I don't endorse him entirely. I think he shares phenomenal business secrets and ideas. I just don't particularly enjoy his manner of speaking, but at the same time, his brashness gets the point across. So I'll leave him to it. However, the one thing that he said is no matter the size of the business you're wanting to start, money should never be a problem. Money is never a problem. If your product and your service is aligned, the money will be there. If
Yeah.
your
Yeah.
project is going in the right direction, the universe will help fund that. It's just how the universe works. Now, I do want to say one thing though, because I keep saying no money down, no money down in this particular instance. And yes, that's true. It doesn't mean that there isn't an investment though.
Right.
Because if you're not putting money down, you are essentially swapping out the speed that money would allow you to execute on a project for the time that you're now having to put in to make up for that money not being injected into the business. But what I find so interesting again is coming back to Dan Pena. He says people always say, oh, I can't do this or I can't do that because I don't have the money to do it. And he goes, you can literally walk into your local bank, find the right person who believes in your project, and not only will you get the funding you need, you will get someone who's able to start opening doors for you, who can
Yeah.
start making the right introductions for you, who can
Yeah.
start opening your mind to what is possible in your business. Because that's the other thing, right? We sometimes get so caught up in the nitty gritty that we're not able to see the bigger picture. And it sometimes helps to have a friend who's in the legal field, or a friend who's in the accounting field, or a friend who's in banking.
Right.
And if you say to me, well, I don't have friends in any of those fields, you probably do, you just don't realize it.
And again, even if you don't, talk to people, start to express out to your family, your friends, your connection, your place of work. I'm thinking of creating this side hustle. What do you think? Do you know of someone that might, and then fill in that blank? talk about it everywhere. This is why it's so important to connect to the passion of what you're doing. If you're
Yep.
trying to do something just to do it, or you really dislike your present job and you're just looking for some avenue out, that's going to already be fragmented and distorted.
Mm,
It's not going to work. This
no.
really is, there's a reason why it is the wealthy mindset. There has to be, and we spoke about this on the wealth of self this morning, this investment in self. This is a mindset that needs to be aligned so that
Yeah.
every step you take, there's a confidence. That doesn't mean you don't have some hesitation or you don't have some nervousness or anxiety around creating a business, of course, but recalibrate that into excitement, creativity, and really start to get into collaboration. If someone says, I don't have the money, right there, you will never have the money, ever.
Mm-hmm.
You have to begin to change that wealthy mindset. Up until now, I didn't have the right funds, but I have some money to begin investing in my passion. And I
There you
know
go.
I will create an investor or a partner, and that we together. And again, if you are going into something thinking all about yourself and containing it just on your own, no. You've got to begin to expand and bring in energy and help and support, because your mindset with someone else's mindset creates a very empowered environment to bring your business to life.
So I actually want to talk about that a bit further because it is so important to have a good circle around you.
Yeah.
And I would often say, start with the people you know, your friends, your family. I would, however, always say be careful about who you speak to because
Mm.
words and energy does have power. And if someone is just not aligned with the mindset of starting a new business, they might say something that is not quite conducive, even if they're not being rude or malicious or anything like that. And that energy can definitely pull you down a little bit. But if you're speaking to the right people, it helps to propel you forward. But further than that, I said quite flippantly to another client of mine the one day who wanted to start quite a large scale business. And it was actually in the banking field. She wanted to start a bank.
Wow.
And I know, quite a big deal. And I said to her, well, you need to get a mentor who is in banking, like as in someone who's a top dog of a multinational bank. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to make this work. And she laughs, and she goes, well, Stefan, that's very nice of you to point out the obvious, but where am I going to find someone like that?
Right.
And off the top of my head, I said, so, well, three people who are in banking, who are connected with people at the level that we're talking about. So you could start there. I said, and then secondly, something that's always worked for me in the past, whenever I've had a project that I didn't quite know the ins and outs of, but I was passionate about wanting to get this across the line, I would literally just hop onto LinkedIn, send out 10 or 15 invites to people who fit the criteria as to what I'm looking for as a mentor. Usually someone who's maybe late 50s, early 60s. They're still in their work, but they've reached the pinnacle of what they can achieve.
Mm.
And interestingly, they're the ones who are so keen to help the next generation, to impart that knowledge and that wisdom. And they ask nothing for it.
Yeah.
Out of those 15 invites that I'll send out, I will always get between 3 and 5 people responding. And I'm not talking middle management at your local Asda or Walmart. I'm talking CEOs of large companies who take the time to message a kid that they've never met before and go, hi, so happy to receive your message. Would love to hear more about your project. How are you thinking you would need help? And my response is always, I'm looking for someone to collaborate with. I'm looking for somebody who can help me. This is what I'm putting together. This is what I've done already. These are the hurdles that I've overcome. This is what I've accomplished. Here are the hurdles that I foresee that I'm wanting to get around. And the response always is, here's my calendar link, or here's the email of my PA. please set up a call and we'll have a chat. Happy to help.
That's a really like a golden nugget right there. Right? I mean, think about the power of that. Just reaching out and using social media and
Mm-hmm.
your relationship building skill set and asking someone for help, and however you want to word it and put that together and construct that asking is an individual creation. But there are definitely mentors that love what they do. And as you said, whether they're in the middle or the tail end, and of course, some people are going to be, if they're in their early 30s and 40s and even early 50s, and they're just still mired down with that day to day. But so many people in that leadership role on that higher level of achievement love volunteering, love mentoring, at least can offer and I'm sure you've come into this where they may say, I personally cannot at this time help you. However, I know
Yep.
someone that would love to do this with you, or I know someone that would appreciate the opportunity to mentor you. Ask. Do not hesitate to ask. If someone says no, it is okay. That no doesn't mean shut down. That no just means, okay, thank you for the time. It wasn't aligned with you. Now you move on to the next and keep creating that list. You can reach out to complete strangers
Yep.
everywhere in the world, and there's people that will help you.
And that is one of the most beautiful things that I think we tend to forget. One of my personal mentors when I was a lot younger, he said to me, Stefan, if you ever want something, you have to go cap in hand. And I looked at him like, what do you mean cap in hand? And he says, well, you know that scene from, I think it's Oliver Twist, please, sir, may I have some more? Right?
Yeah.
He goes, when someone really needs something and is asking not for a hand out, but a hand up,
Yeah.
no one is going to say no.
Yeah.
Like you just said, somebody might turn around and say, well, not right now, or I can't take this on for whatever reason. But like you said, usually they will turn around and say, however, here's someone, a contact who will be able to help.
And I
Very few
also,
people would completely turn you. Oh, sorry, yeah.
oh, no, sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, very few people would actually turn you away in that instance.
Yeah, and in my experience too, there could be a magazine article, there could be a research paper. There is always a point of connection that usually, again, leadership, people that have moved up in that level and understand the fundamentals of relationship building and the
Mm,
connection and the mentorship. If you are, it doesn't matter what age you are, you could be 64 and say, I've had a life of this. I am now creating my side hustle. You came across, my path. Someone told me about you. I saw you on, well, maybe not on TV, but somehow you came across my path and I wanted to reach out to you. Or as you said, it could be through their personal assistants. It could be through assistant, someone who is helping them. You craft this letter. If you're, I'm going to use this word again, authentic in what you are
mm,
trying to achieve, the person on the receiving end knows that. They can feel that. There's a way that your message is coming across, and they know that you're looking for, again, that hand up, that next tier, that next
yep.
level, and learn how to design that asking where, dear Mr. Smith, I know that you personally may not be able to mentor, guide, and help. However, would you be so kind? Do you know of anyone in your corporation in the leadership role that would help me? I'm in my 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s. This is what I'm embarking on. And you will be amazed at how quickly. And when we say the universe, some people get caught up on that. Like, what do you mean the universe? And what is this universal energy? And just suspend all of the doubt and trust that when you begin to flow in your creative endeavors, when you begin to build that confidence in building a wealthy mindset, when you begin to allow yourself to expand past your present condition and move into that journey, that exploration, the universe does begin to open doors or place these steps in front of you. You will be amazed at what happens.
This is something that I think people cannot actually wrap their heads around as to how quickly these things move once you commit to it.
Yeah.
Because the universe really does love speed. And if you have taken the time to, as you said, learn to craft your messages correctly, take the time to learn how to ask in a way that is appealing to the person you are approaching, you will be absolutely shocked by how much support comes just flooding out of everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
You and I have seen this with the
Yes.
Shift and Co, where we literally were like, we need this, and people just started coming out the woodwork with offers of assistance and help.
And also I just wanted to say something. I sat in, and Stefan knows this. I sat in on a 2-day high level
Mm.
mastermind group with this wonderful man. And I'm going to give a shout out to James Melanchuk from The Secret Millionaire and ABC, and affiliated with Jack Campbell, Chicken Soup of the Soul. And it goes on and on and on his list. And he has this beautiful way of expressing servitude also. And it's like he's going to write a book on this, and he tells everyone that he talks to about this. But it's about the napkin, and he'll take this white napkin and he'll place it over his arm, as like we see waiters in high-end restaurants, and in service of, rather than put the napkin in the shirt as the bib, meaning you are serving me. And when you
Right.
also begin to craft and design and engineer your mindset of wealth and all of
Mm.
what this journey is going to be, think of how you can also be in service. So it might be something to the effect of, Dear Mr. Smith, these are the skills that I've acquired in my life. And it doesn't matter what they are. If you were an amazing, empowering housewife, the skill set that you have acquired in your life, honestly, will blow lots of CEOs off the face of the earth with the
Oh,
skill set to
absolutely.
right. So use that. Use whatever you have done in your life. And also ask, this is what I am desiring in a mentor, but this is what I also would like to offer. As you mentor me, I will bring someone in and mentor them. Always think of that white napkin effect. How can I be in service? So then you ask yourself, well, if I want to open a bank and I'm going to look at someone that is in that position to help me create a bank, how can I be in service of? So think about a wealthy mindset. How could you be? Maybe you could go to a university or a school, and you can look at young entrepreneurial minds that want to get into the finance world. And how can you bring them in on the building and the relationship connections of building a bank? Right there, I didn't think about this. I'm not building a bank, but that's what I would do. I would reach out to younger minds and begin to mentor. So when I go to craft my letter to the big kahuna, I can say I have 3 students at our local university that are so excited about the banking business. I'd like to bring them in to the mentorship relationship that I'd like to build with you. Would you be interested in helping me or someone in your corporation? And there you go, grasshoppers, lesson in the
There you
wealthy
go.
mindset.
Exactly. I'm smiling because that's
Yes.
exactly what she did actually. She
Oh,
because
wow.
when I asked her why do you want to start a bank of all things? Like I don't think I've met one other person who went, I want to start a bank,
I've
right?
never known anyone
Yeah,
until now through
it's the most
you.
odd thing. And she said, well, 2 reasons. One, because there's such a lot of amazing fintech coming out of Africa right now. that is not getting the exposure it needs, that is not getting the platform that it requires in order to really help the people. And so her vision was, if she could build a bank that was able to be truly multinational across the African continent and be able to bring all this fintech beautiful um, assistance that's going to help people on the ground, that's kind of her life mission. That's what she wants to do. And it's so interesting that, I can't remember if we said this in the last episode, or if you and I chatted about it in between, but you look at people who are truly wealthy, it always comes down to how many lives have they been able to impact.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's always what it comes down to. It's always about what kind of service are you providing and how are your service.
Absolutely.
The more people you're able to serve, the more the universe just rewards you. It just does.
If, and let me add in that caveat, if there is authenticity behind
Yes.
it. And we know this because most of us have known that slick car salesman, right? Or
Mm-hmm.
we've had a friend in, a very litigious related lawyer. We all kind of, and even if we haven't personally known, we know out in the world that there are energies behind intentions. So when you stand in your own empowerment and your own authenticity, your radar is able to fine tune others that are like-minded, and then you can build something of value. The other thing I want to share, which we say in all of the Shift and Co and every podcast that we are creating and what we're doing here, is to tell you and remind you and guide you, inspire and motivate and enrich. If you're listening and you're like, right now, my condition is, my living environment is, and it's, let's just say, more on the negative scale of reality and perception, take a breath. And you have a phone, and if you don't, well, somehow you're listening to us, but yes, you can go to the local library, or you can, turn on a TV, you can go to places and start to tap into the free information that begins to move you. And one thing I've noticed about the very giving people, right, really, who are in servitude, even if they have very high end programs and coaching and everything, such as we do and what we're creating, we also give. So if someone comes to you and asks, you find ways. Don't be afraid to be that person to ask, and also become resourceful. Find a way to get to the information you need to begin building your legacy, your exploration into a wealthy mindset, creating something that then will be in service to others.
So I'm going to share a personal experience that I had with one of my clients for a course that I helped to sell. He called up the one day, wanted to know all the details about how it would operate, how he would do this, etc., what his expectations should be. We walked through everything top to bottom, and he goes, "Oh, this is exactly what I've been looking for. This is what I want. This is what I need to do." And he goes, "Okay, lay it on me. How much is it?" And I told him how much the course is, and he goes, "Are there payment plans?" So we lay out the payment plans, and he goes, "It's just out of my reach." Before I could even say anything, he goes, "Do you have any currently free information?" And I said, "Well, yes, actually, the owner of the course has a beautiful YouTube channel with a lot of incredible information that might not give you the nitty gritty, but it'll give you enough information to get you started on the path."
Yeah.
He says, "Okay, great. Give me 48 hours, please." He calls me back 48 hours later. He'd gotten his first 3 clients for his new business just based off of the free information that he'd gotten off of YouTube. Took the money that he'd earned from that to now invest into the course so that he could actually fulfill what he'd said to the clients he was going to do for them.
That's a great
I was
example.
it's just I was gobsmacked. I literally sat there and I went, this is a person who is dedicated to their own improvement.
Yeah.
He could have sat back and said, "Oh, well, if I don't have this and I don't have that and I don't have this information, I can never get started. I can never make my life better." Instead, he went, "Here's the challenge. What's the solution?" And that's a really powerful question because there is always a solution. There always is. You might sometimes have to
Always.
backtrack a little bit. You might have to go around it. You might have to go over or under. There is always a solution every single time. It might not be one that we like, because
Right.
funny enough, I had a very similar conversation with another client about a month later. And I said, well, I have this example of this person who did XYZ. This could be you. Is that something you would be interested in? And she says, honestly, no. Her
Mm.
mind just couldn't go there. It just couldn't get to, this is going to be okay and I can make this work.
And I think that's important to understand. There's going to be times in our life where, we have all experienced, right, that expansion and contraction of money and of
Mhm.
wealth, and where we're able to do something this year, and maybe, the following year it's a little bit more tighter, and or you may want to join in on something and it's $20,000 and your mind cannot even comprehend investing that type of money. And this is such a great example, because most of us that are authentic in the care and consideration of the global community offer free guidance, free education, free
Yep.
material. You and I do this 4 times over every week on every podcast. If you really listen to our podcast, you could build an empire on the information that
Oh, yeah.
we impart. You really could, because as much as we think, and yes, money is one of the mechanisms needed for creation, money does not start and follow through the creation. It is a wealthy mindset. It is the investment in self and how you
Yep.
think about it. Now, that is such a beautiful example. That gentleman knew at the moment, whatever the number is, I'll just say it could have been $10,000. And he's like, he knew at that moment, I financially cannot. But what he did was he asked a proactive question in how he can invest in a wealthy mindset in himself. His mind was thinking wealth. I want to go into that program. I don't have the funds for it, but how can I get the funds? Let me go and see the value that this course is offering from their free information. Let me, again, be proactive in the wealthy mindset, because that's what it takes to be proactive. Let me
Exactly.
put this information into action. And what did he do? Because he was already aligned with the value for himself. He saw the value in the program. He put the value to work, made enough money to turn around in a very short time, and had the funds to now go to the next tier of investing. But without that mindset of wealth, and when we talk about the wealthy mindset, it isn't just money. It is, I love this example. If I may, I'm going to ask permission to use that when I talk
Please.
to people, because there you go. That is the difference between someone that stays anchored in the sameness and someone that
Mm.
releases the anchor and soars into expansion.
I love that you brought that out about the actual key that starts everything and follows through is the wealthy mindset. Because
Yes,
money is a symptom of success, sure.
yes,
But at the end of the day, it's also just a tool. It's not this, I don't know, this weird principle or anything. It's just a tool to help us achieve things maybe a little bit faster than we would have. That's all it is.
yeah,
When you, however, have that wealthy mindset, you're able to start, and the other thing is stick to that authenticity.
yeah,
Because something that I often say to to clients is, if this business is not for you, be honest with yourself.
Right.
Don't go try and do something that you don't have no interest in doing. Well, how do you honestly think that you're going to be able to make it a success, right?
Mm.
I had so our listeners will know, on the very first episode of Wealthy Mindset, I interviewed our producer Michaela, who, when she started with me, we were trying to figure out where she should be working in the business. And the reason I wanted to do that was because I wanted her to find a role that she could enjoy, that she could make her own, that she could grow in and alongside, right? And you see how just that tiny little shift helps someone to really commit to what they're trying to do. So, for instance, I had a buddy around last 2 weeks ago, and he's starting a business doing furniture removals, home removals for people. And he was showing me, he's running the numbers, and he's like, "Oh my goodness, you can make so much money for this." And he looks at me and he says, "What? You've got a good business mind. Why wouldn't you do something like this?" And I said, "Because I have no interest in it whatsoever. Sure, I can see how much money I can make, but why on earth would I do it when I have no? I'm going to do it for 2 weeks and go on board
Yeah,
onto the next one,
I'm
right?"
out.
Yeah, exactly. So that
I think
mindset, that authenticity, is what really has to carry it through. Sorry, Laura, please continue.
no. Yeah, sorry. Yes. Again, yeah, it's the connection. It's the inner work. It's the
Hmm.
inner journey. This is, again, this is one of those keys, right? It's a key to unlock that knowledge in you. Go inside. Where is your passion? If you're going to create something just for financial gain, it may bring you some monetary success for a moment in the experience, but it will not be a foundation of to
No.
build. It will not be in service. You have to connect to what you're doing. Or if you have a mindset, I know someone that started a carpet cleaning business, and it wasn't that he was passionate about cleaning carpets, but he came from absolute poverty. Someone came to him and said, "I need some help. Do you want to help?" He started helping, he started making a paycheck, and then something in him realized, wait a minute, I can build a business. I can be the boss. I can, something in his mind expanded out. Long story short, he became a multimillionaire and then went on to really find his true passion because he had the time, he had the experience of
Yes.
creating something. So we're not saying that it has to be this amazing esoteric spiritual, connectedness to some worldly passion on the onset, but you have to have a wealthy mindset to begin with and know that, okay, I'm not maybe fully engaged in a passion connected to this particular business, but I love the idea of it. I love the exploration. I love the experience of creating something from almost nothing. And that's a
Yes.
different passion. That's a different authenticity. Then you keep going on, right? It might be like someone that wants to be in real estate, loves the idea of selling houses, but then maybe doesn't like the contractual work. The passion may be there, but then you go into partnership with someone that does the contracts, and you soar in the selling, they soar in the legality aspect of it. There's ways to look at building wealth, but you've got to tap into what's authentic for you and what the
Yeah.
journey is going to entail, or you just won't have the drive and the ambition and the staying power to see it through.
That is such a nugget right there that I really want our audience to take note of. Because if if you're serving money, right? So if your only goal is just to
Yeah.
amass wealth, I can actually, yeah, head on a block. I can guarantee you will not be successful.
Yeah.
It's just impossible. The moment you are in service to a higher cause, your own personal development, helping other people, being of service, suddenly all of those things start to take care of themselves. And the wealth just starts to flow in. Again, as a symptom of your already existing successful, wealthy mindset.
Right. Absolutely.
The other thing I wanted to touch on, which actually came out of a book I read, not about business, but just about life in general, by David Data. It's called The Way of the Superior Man. And
Mm,
what I loved in that book that really struck me, and it applies to this as well, is he says, don't forget that your passions are like an onion, right? So
mm,
when you start getting into your what you feel is your passion work and your passion projects, because of where you are emotionally, mentally, soul wise, you're only going to be able to touch that first layer of the onion. He says, but then what happens with so many people is they think that because this is their passion project or whatever the case may be, that this is what it has to be for the rest of their lives. Not realizing that as you're growing into the role that you've set for yourself, you're essentially getting further through that layer of that onion. And eventually that onion layer is gone. And it's now time for the next onion layer. It's time for a new project. It's time for a new passion, right?
right.
I look at my life. I started out just wanting to be in sales. And then from there, I went, well, no, I don't want to do that anymore. I want to help people. I was already helping people with the job I was doing. Didn't quite see it at the time, but I really was. Moved into life coaching and that kind of work, which is obviously how you and I met, um, and did that for a while. And I loved it. I really did. But at some point, that journey started to draw to a close because I then went, I had this realization that I want to help and impact more people than
Mm,
I'm able to on just a one on one situation. I'm wanting to really spread this light out as much as humanly possible. And from that was born our relationship with the Shift and Co.
right.
And this beautiful movement and machine that we're putting together
Yeah.
that is doing exactly that, right? So I say all of that because I want our listeners to realize that just because you, coming back to the first person we're talking about, decide to set up a soap business, for instance, does not mean that you have to be the king or and queen of soap for the rest of your life.
Right.
Okay. If you decide after 2, 3 years you want to sell that business and start something else, do so. The
Right.
key is to keep that authenticity of self. The key is to really commit to that consistent growth
Right.
and let the universe take care of the physical money coming in because it will. It always will.
Yeah. And again, I know some people, and I've had clients, I'm sure you have too, that have said, well, if, right, you have this wealthy mindset and you have this positive energy and you connect to your passion and you have all this authenticity and you're still not making quite the money that you want to, and then you look over at someone else that maybe does a lot of wrongdoing and how come they're wealthy. But almost always in those situations when you get into the back end of what those people are going through and the quality of their
Mm-hmm.
friendships, the quality of their marriage, whatever it is, there's strains, they're fractured.
Yep.
What we
Yep.
tend to look at is we see everything shiny and pretty and polished in the storefront window. But again, when you get behind there, the money may be there, but there's still the same issues. I love this, and
Yep.
I love Jennifer Lopez. I think she's an amazing force of entertainment.
Mm.
But look how many times she attempted to get married, to find love, to create love, all that beauty, all that wealth, all that brilliance, and her love relationship. It took her into her fifth decade to maybe hopefully now wrap around. And I don't really necessarily bring entertainment in, but it's a thought process that we follow because we're so influenced by social media and
Yes.
movie stars and what we see. This wealthy mindset is about something deeper than that. This is about not being one of the human beings that collects things and collects money and becomes shiny for the sake of that. This is about creating the balance of mentorship, of leadership, of authenticity, of understanding how and what we do for the greater good. And if you can do that, driving around in a Lamborghini, living in a multi-million-dollar house on an island, but you're grounded in your servitude, that's the balance. That's the ultimate balance that so many of us would like to achieve. Just don't get confused because people have wealth that they're good and they're doing it all
Yep.
correct. This is an individual connection to self and how to create a wealthy mindset around investing in yourself and starting the investment process of what really can be in service of the greater good. And when you connect to that, then I think everything will begin to fall in place.
Could not agree with you more. And actually, I think I want to leave with one final thought on that, because something else that has always struck me when I do have sessions with my clients who are wanting to set up their own businesses and that sort of thing is I will have a very honest conversation with them and say, how much do you want to earn on a monthly basis, on a yearly basis, etc.? And inevitably everybody goes, $1 million, $10 million.
Yeah.
And I then say to them exactly what one of my first mentors said to me. What would you do with that?
Yeah.
And then when you start to break it down, it's like, is that lifestyle actually what you want?
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with saying, no, not everybody wants to be making $1 million a month. And there is nothing wrong with that.
Right.
If you want to have a certain
Right.
lifestyle, right, that goes along with servitude, that goes along with having a wealthy mindset, which is where you are truly invested in your own self-growth, and everything is taken care of, do you still need millions upon millions in the bank? If the answer is no, then
No.
that's great. Stick to that.
Yeah.
Enjoy your life. Have
Right.
fun with this. If the answer is yes, I want to be making $1 million a month or $10 million a month, or whatever the case may be, more power
Right.
to you. You will get there.
Right.
Just, I think if we can learn to separate the financial income from the wealthy mindset better,
Right.
then the wealth will literally take care of itself.
And that actually would make a great topic too, to really help differentiate that, because there is a difference. They're bridged together, but there's a lot of space in between there of what we're talking about. Because once you have fulfillment, wealthy fulfillment, you really want to just extend it out anyways, right? And
Yep.
what is the main reason, if you ask, and I know we've got to get going, everyone wants freedom to do what we want to do.
There we go.
And that's what money gives us. It buys us freedom to enjoy more of what we want to do. Have fun creating a wealthy mindset. Have fun creating a wealthy mindset and let the rest unfold.
Laura, always dropping these beautiful gems as we end off. I think that is perfect for everybody who's been listening today. Amazing. Just incredible. I had an absolute blast on today's topic. I think you did as well. So that is good.
My mind is already like, I'm building my wealth and I'm getting excited about all the things we're going to create, and they have nothing to do with money. They have to do with creation and joy and fun and sharing. All of the other stuff will be taken care of.
Isn't that the best part? To me, that's just the best part.
It is.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, we hope that you had as good a time as we did today. We look forward to joining you again later this week on our next podcast as well. We're going to be doing the whole package this week as well, which is going to be a wonderful introduction to wellness. Sorry, I had a thought there, but no, I'm not going to say it now. A wonderful introduction to holistic wellness. Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, cool.
Thank you so much, everybody.